Spud, today is Michaelmas. You have to thank
Today's
Archangel.
what?
It's Michaelmas. It's the
Michaelmas, what's that?
Yeah, Archangel Michael's feast day.
Happy birthday! Isn't that feast day is always when the saint dies? So
Well, he's an angel,
happy death day.
But he was never alive or dead, so it's neither, I suppose. It's just a day.
Isn't he both? Isn't he both then? Is he both or is he neither? Which one is it? Like, I never know. You know.
Well, he's an angel, so he's never alive and never dead. That's just always was.
Never dead.
Yeah,
always,
something. I don't know. I don't know the Lord of Angels that well, to be honest. Other than he has that whole he defeated Lucifer in that very famous kind of statue with the stabby spear, standing on Lucifer's neck. There was one of them in the church beside in this very small village where my mum grew up in. And they were all terrified of it, absolutely terrified. And recently did up the church and they moved it because it was up in the old hour. They had to move it. Yeah, they eventually moved it.
Now everyone connected with the building is going to die or something. Hey, I know you're not into GAA, but do you know the curse about the Mayo team? It's nearly finished.
No, I know.
Do you know about the curse?
No, I know nothing.
So basically, I run up because it's mostly Americans. Listen, this GA is like an Irish, or there's two Irish sport. Well, there's a few actually. There's more than that. There's hurling, which is a bit like lacrosse, but more murder. Yeah, and they don't wear any protection except helmets. It's amazing. Look it up, hurling on YouTube. You'll find all the fucking best hits and stuff like that. But there's another sport which is we call it football, and it's basically like a mix between soccer and rugby. Okay, but it's older. That's
fair,
I think. But anyway. There's a team called Mayo who were particularly very, very good at losing finals. So I think over the last 15 years they got to 10 finals and lost them all. And apparently they were a curse was put on them in the 1950s was the last time they won it. What happened was the team they won and they were driving back to Mayo for their party. And as is tradition in Ireland, when you come across a funeral, you stop your car, you let the funeral pass. Mm-hmm. You bow your heads or take off your hat, whatever it is. And especially in 1950s Ireland, you definitely would have done this. However, the Mayo team, the fucking big shots that they were just drove straight through through the funeral.
Nice people.
And the priest put a curse on him. Said you won't win another All Ireland until all of the squad are dead.
Oh,
Last week, and up to now, two of them have been alive, and last week another one died. So there's only one more to go. Imagine being that guy. Imagine being that guy holding your county back from winning. You're just like, fucking hell, like the pressure of that. Like.
And does he, like, if he's interviewed or up until now, the other survivors, like, did they believe it? Did they say it happened, or was it just something that was made up?
I don't know, to be honest, but like, if you go by any of the comments that are on like the news stories and all, it's just like, oh Jesus, when's this fucker going to die?
Yeah, because I'll tell you, it's interesting because I did see the photo with the three guys and saying one of them is now dead, and I was going, oh, I thought that's cool. There's just three people left from the last time Mayo won. I didn't know there was some cool curse around it.
Yeah. There's a curse on it. It's mad, isn't it?
It's like at the end of Saving Private Ryan, you know, make sure you have a good life, the three boys from Mayo, you know. You have to justify us not winning the All-Ireland for whatever it is. Jesus, 60 years, 70 years.
I'm about to show my fucking my postal address on the internet. So yeah, I got some posts. Looks like Tommie's lovely, neat writing. Have you ever noticed how good a writer Tommie is? Try and cover your fucking address, Spud, there, will you?
Yeah.
Unless someone wants to send me send me drugs. If you want to send me drugs, I'll give it to you, no problem at all. Let me open this here. What's in this? Unless there's drugs in this. There's no drugs in this, Tommie, is there?
No. Strange enough, I was going to send you a large quantity of drugs, but I didn't. Good thing. Had I known you were doing an unboxing.
Why can't I open? What's wrong with my fingers?
T-Rex.
Drum roll. Thanks, Tommie. I better not show that one.
I know you can. You can show it. You can show people the.
YouTube won't be bad. No, YouTube won't. Look, a big willy. Thanks for your support. A big willy.
Yeah, I just make sure that everyone knows that I don't send big willies to just everyone.
only the special ones.
Yeah.
There's herself.
There's Jardel.
There's himself.
Harvin.
They're deadly, man. They're really class. Man. They're lovely. Great
Barman.
job.
And your man, Cranvock.
Yeah, I think he's my favourite. And
I like him too.
And this one, I like that. I like that guy too.
Yeah, they've all kind of warmed to me a bit more than the previous artwork.
They're great, man. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, those seem to be arriving now. I got a couple of people yesterday saying.
I'll be buying the deluxe deck too when that comes out, and everyone. I presume a lot of people will be as well because of you'll have the 4.
I hope so.
In it, like, I hope so. Yeah,
hope so.
Nice, yeah. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, so
loads of Lego bought. All the Lego. What's been happening, Tommy?
Well, it's just as you're saying about it over there. They're saying that because of the way the world's falling apart yet again, and all the prices have gone up. And
petrol and stuff. Yeah.
And it's more because I suppose we're being influenced by the UK press here. But I mean, we don't have empty shelves, or we don't have anything that's going on Brexit related, obviously, because we're not part of all of that.
Petrol must be high. Is your petrol price high? Petrol here is through the fucking roof. It's crazy.
156 the last I got petrol, so. Being that this time last year it was probably 103, you know what I mean? So
I think this time last year it was 4 and 401 in my town, which is kind of cheap anyway. But I think it's 588 now. It's crazy, and that's a cheap petrol station. If you went on the highway, it'd be 650 or something, you know.
Oh yeah, that's the cheap one too. That's not the main motorway one. So I mean that's translating into like building supplies are massively expensive, even down to like sand and all of that kind of stuff. So. And so,
but isn't it? Come here, though. Isn't it? But anyway,
my point, I suppose, that just because we'll go too far away from it, was that there was a kind of announcement around going to make sure you talk to Santi early and get all that sorted out early. So we got talking to Santi early. So we
all right.
Yeah. So
Jesus, yeah, we should do that then as well. Yeah. Although in fairness, Poland's really good with the deliveries and stuff like that. It's a big fucking country. Like in fairness, there's a lot of people here. The petrol thing, though, it's it feels like a scam because, like, I was looking up stuff about why it's gone so dear, and it's like, well, the demand has gone up. Oh, okay. Why is that? Because more people are back at work. Okay. Why are more people back at work? The pandemic's over. Pandemic's not over. Why are more people back at work? More people are back in the office. Okay. Why are people going back to the office? Because people have been made going back to the office. Okay, I get that. So there's more people have had to go back to the office. And so they're driving more, and schools are back, and all that stuff. Okay, I get that. So demand is higher, but like, do like the petrol companies just like, oh well, there's less petrol needed, so like let's like make less. Is that what they do? Because that's bullshit. Why didn't they just keep making the same, and then knowing that the demand would come back?
Yeah, well, and that thing is it's the storage probably issue, and it's the boat issue, and getting it around the place. If you've like boats that are tankering this around the world, and they get to their destination, go, no thanks. They go, all right, what, we just go back then with all this, so there's that cost, I'm assuming. But also it is bullshit, obviously, because it's,
it's a scam, isn't it?
It's a scam. Yeah, but we know it's a scam. I mean, hold on. The oil industry is a scam. Hold on, it's not new information. Has someone mentioned this before? Maybe there's been a couple of deaths around it or something, and I'm not opening Pandora's box here, no secrets or anything like that. But it's like, but how like we all know this is a scam, but we're just letting them away with it. The interesting thing I always thought about, the way the petrol goes up every day, so it's like there's a new. Every day at garage.
Every day, yeah.
So I mean that must be in one sense great for the petrol station owner on the day's work was up when they bought it yesterday. But it must be awful when they're after buying a load of it and then it goes, oh what, it's just dropped 50 cents, and you know what I mean? And I can't imagine a take was up.
But isn't that one of the things that like made Michael O'Leary, Ryanair, a billionaire or something, millionaire, a crazy rich man? Because after 9/11 he bought a ton of airplanes and a ton of fuel, like something like 2 or 3 years worth of fuel he bought.
Right, because no one was going to get on a plane again.
Yeah, exactly. No one was getting on a plane because he bought it for so cheap. The prices for him just went through the roof, and he made a fortune.
Yeah, that and the baggage scam.
So, like, I presume that petrol is always bought at a low, because petrol is really cheap in those countries. I mean, you can fill up your car in Yemen for like $1 or $1.50 kind of thing, like. Do you know, like what?
It's almost like the whole idea of capitalism is a scam, isn't it? It's almost
it's kind of It's weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah, that it's a whole facade, an illusion. Maya, some might say.
Gabor gave it a bit of a kicking as well in the documentary. We'll talk about it later. That's a sad documentary.
Oh man, it is. Well, I mean, we get to it.
Yeah. It's very good. It's very good. We'll say that though. It won't put you off. It's really good.
Yeah, I don't know, like the whole thing, it's like, people and the government's been shitty straight away. Like, so the Irish government, right? So the fuel prices have gone way up. Everyone's gone back to work. We're trying to have a green future, not destroy the planet or whatever. So let's bring on a huge new VAT increase on electric cars. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So $5,000 added to new electric cars over non-electric cars. That's fabulous, isn't it? Not brilliant. It's not really going to help us out in the future. All around, all our problems by doing the opposite of what we should be doing.
When our lease was up in the car, so we changed ours, and I looked into the hybrids again, and not even a money thing, but a money thing. First of all, I think there was 40,000 zlotys in the difference of price, whatever was that, 10,000 euros or something like that. Which would mean that we'd have to spend that much in petrol for them to be even.
Right.
There's no way. There's no way I'm spending 10,000 euros in petrol in 3 years. Like, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you could, but you don't want to.
If you're a salesman and you're up and down to Warsaw or to Prague or wherever, if you're doing that, but like me, Jesus, I get in the car when it's raining for the kids. That's pretty much it.
I think the average is, isn't it, 25,000 miles a year or something like that is deemed as normal.
We wouldn't do anything like that. So we wouldn't. I think in the car that we gave back, there was 1,000 kilometers per month was on it over 3 years, which is nothing. What's that? Yeah, that's half of what is deemed as standard. We got a new car too. We got a hybrid thingy-bob thing. It's the Toyota one. Are they good?
No, it's the I don't know, Outlander. Who makes that? I don't know. I know nothing about fucking. I don't think it's Nissan either. I know Mitsubishi. That's who it is. Well done, Tommie's brain trying to get it. But it has you can get it electric. You can plug it into the wall. You can get 40 kilometers out of it or whatever. But you do in your hole get 40 kilometers. It says 40 kilometers, and then you drive to the front of your driveway, and it's 23 kilometers, and then you drive around the corner, and it's 6. And it's like you can charge it on the wall, and it's 150 to charge it, which is fine, grand, whatever. But if you charge it with petrol, it costs, so to charge 30 kilometers of electric battery costs about 50 kilometers of petrol. So fuck that. It's just it's a gimmick at the minute. For those kind of, either that or we're not using it right. We haven't worked out all the 20 million different buttons or whatever that there is. But because I know that a friend of ours has one, and she says, she never charges it ever. Doesn't even pay attention to the electric side of it at all. Because it's still
she uses the petrol all the time.
Yeah, because there's still a whole ecosystem that if you just use the petrol, it's still. But if you're using it and charge it, it was like going, this is about twice the price to run the old Urus that we had that was like at least 70 years old. Because it was diesel, so you'd shove 20 diesel into it, and 6 years later it would go, you might need to get some more diesel there. But. Yeah, the full new, not hybrids, the full new electric ones can do about 400 miles, which is that, that's fine, with a charge. Yeah, you could do that. But yeah, so, let's tax them, put, high rates of tax on them so people don't buy them. Let's do that.
It's bullshit, isn't it?
I mean, obviously there was outrage, as there is, but I mean, it's like, even if they say, right, we're not doing that or whatever, to take it back, and it's one of those, pre-budget where they say we're putting on $5,000 because we're really putting on $1,000, and then everyone will be happy with the, this concession that they got that the government back when they really wanted to put $1,000 on it in the first place. But even the idea of the thought of that's given. Our biggest problem after the pandemic is that we're going to die very shortly of heat, So it's like that they're still thinking, we could make a few quid out of this because it's it's popular and it's.
And I presume there's got to be lads in the government. They're like, okay, we won't be able to grow, wheat, but Jesus. What about grapes, lads? Sure, they're all mad for the drink in Ireland. If we had our own, if it was Irish wine, you'd have Irish wine, Irish whiskey, and you'd have Irish beer. Fucking hell, lads. We'd take over the world.
Yeah, and they just legalise marijuana, and then no one would go to work.
Petrol prices would fall.
Yeah,
everyone we have would be happy. Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, there's obvious, and the thing is, there's obvious ways getting out of all of these things, but they're all held back usually by social taboos, religious views, and drugs are bad. Yeah, well, there's a whole lot of evidence to say they're not. Oh no, they are. All right, grand. Next generation, when all of you are dead. Let's actually do something. But by then, we'll have, done something else, and we'll have discovered that we're equally as bad in some other ways and all of that stuff. I don't know. It's a good thing people die, and I mean that because imagine if everyone was still around from the beginning, we'd still be good. I'm sorry, lads, we're still using stones because we've always used stones. That's it. It's tradition. I mean, that's what you with your copper. What are you doing with this? That's not good.
Yeah, you'd have Douglas Murray chipping into a stone, saying the best form of action is to never change anything at all. And Peter Kingsley be there going, this culture's about to die. Let's give it a nice death.
Yeah, it had a chance. You blew it. Yeah.
Sorry for bringing up Peter Kingsley. I know we swore we wouldn't. Come here. I went looking for fucking Jodorowsky's. I know he has many books, but the one about the psychomagia one. Which one is it? Because there's two.
The one I sent you. So on Discord. That you sent?
I thought you just sent me. Oh, you did send me a file. Oh, yeah, that one. Okay. Right. No, because I saw the two of them were on Scribd, whatever.
Yeah. No, one of them's the manual, and one of them, which he co-wrote with someone who I don't know. And it's literally, lists and things to write out and all that kind of stuff. So the psychomagia or psychomagic, whatever, like it's psychomagia, whatever it is, like he pronounced it. But that's the one. Mm-hmm. It's the. I'll put the link in the show description and you can have a look. But I did send you the...
Is it good? Did you get that out of it?
Yeah, well, I haven't read it because I end up reading a few other books. I started reading Gabor's book, which I'll talk about later. It's brilliant. And that new Pan
Which
book...
one? No, you're dropping out on me there, man.
Oh, sorry, the Gabor Maté book. I started reading that after watching the documentary.
Okay, yeah.
And then that new Pan book came out, Pan, The Great God's Modern Return, which I've been reading. It's really, really good. I'm enjoying that. And then that other one, the Nondual therapy book I've been reading with Georgi, whatever her name is, the woman from Israel.
Well, that's the lady. What's her story?
She kind of she's interesting. She's she very young kind of got into a kind of a cult that had this kind of a non-dual kind of thing, and so she got interested in it and stuff. But then her dad died, and they started saying to her, "Oh, it doesn't matter, it's only his body, blah, blah." And she went, "Hold on a minute. No thanks. I'm out of this." She's just going, so she has a kind of a non-dual approach, which is also very based in, this is real, and we have to deal with these things. And it's not just, when someone dies, that you're just meant to be grand, that it's, because it's all illusion, all that kind of thing. So she set up a kind of therapy based around it, and how you can kind of, go through this kind of stuff as well. Because as we talked before with that kind of, direct path stuff and the progressive path, and we kind of went more on the progressive path, but like people like Rupert Spire, definitely direct path. I think Adeshanti's direct path as well. And the direct path means that you kind of forget about all your problems, your shadows, and, you just go straight to the source, go straight to awareness. And once you get that, not the rest of it should fall into place, which of course, going by the fabulous, non-scandalous guru world, we know that that's not the case, because people can be very awakened and they'll be very shitty people. Whereas the progressive but I mean, even then, I was watching that Leo Guerra, I think he said this, and he was talking about because you've watched so much, you don't know who says what, I suppose. But we're talking about that it's easy to see things like gurus and awakened people and stuff like that as having these awakenings. But probably the shitty people had the awakenings too, and got a glimpse of these things. And he was saying like people like Charles Manson probably had an awakening, but went very different with it, or even down to I'll not mention his name, begins with H. He had something to do with World War II. But people like that who had they probably did have some sort of awakening, but it doesn't mean they then suddenly become a great person or they have any sort of, So she would be definitely coming more for the progressive path, where you go deal with your shit, while, by using these kind of non-dual qualities, she calls, of love and peace, and innocence.
Spira talks about the illusion being like a kind of not a mistranslation, but a misunderstanding of early text, doesn't he?
Yeah. He says that it's like there's two kind of separations of the illusion and real. And he says, but no, it while it's, I suppose it has a quality, it doesn't mean that you negate your life, or it doesn't matter, or that it's, it's to be got out of, or any of those things that it seems to have turned into. He says, no, this is, this is it. You know, here we are. This is the thing. He's two great videos on it that will explain it much better than that terrible ramble. They're on the Discord in the Rip Aspire channel.
In the Rip Aspire channel. Yeah, there's I just always thought that was a weird way of kind of living. That like, oh, you know, well, if I'm good in this one, then I'll be looked after in the next one. Or if the Irish Catholic way is, if you're bad here, you're fucked in the next one.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, well, I mean, what if there is no next one? Can we not live as if there mightn't be one? So like, we're just good to each other because it's the best thing to be doing, to be like, you know.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I know that, like, was it Plato or Socrates or one of those Ninja Turtles? They said that fucking, you know, what is philosophy? Philosophy is the preparation for death anyway, you know, which is okay, fine. But I don't think that that's meant in like you'll be rewarded at the end. I think it's kind of that like you want to leave this place with a clean slate rather than there's going to be, you know, 72 angels blowing you or whatever. Oh no, is it you blow up and they get? I don't remember.
Yeah.
You blow up some white people and then you get. I don't know.
But you see, it's that thing of that you tell the people who are disenfranchised and in poverty and have no power and no control, that's all right. It's all right that you're like that because that's actually a good thing. That's divine. That's what God wants for you. So that's a test so that when you get to the real place, all is cozy. So, you know, says the king from his golden, or the Pope from his golden throne, or whoever it is, you know.
Yeah.
So
Queen like, Elizabeth talking about austerity on a gold fucking chair.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, so okay, even apart from, you know, the kind of probably terrible theology of it, but it's definitely a control mechanism or a way to appease people. I mean, of course, religion is the opium of the masses, and that's not fully in context, of course, but it is in many ways.
Again,
you can understand.
I spoke to you about before, and I looked up the proper name for it. They're called toll houses. This is this orthodox belief that half of the church seems to believe, and the other half doesn't. About when you leave this earthly realm.
Like the Bardo equivalent thing, the seven spheres, is it?
Yeah, the seven spheres, and then like this is the test for because okay, so the idea is that you leave here, and your soul wants to get back to the top, but it has to pass through the other six, I suppose, because we're seventh. Is that right? Or we're eight? So whichever. And so on the way up, then you'll be grabbed at, and they'll try and pull you into the one. And if you have, say, sinned or wronged in that area, say lust, for example, then you'll be dragged into that one. And then eventually you'll have to come back down to here. So, like, yeah, I mean, I think it's... I don't know. Is that like a good way to keep people in line? It doesn't seem to work.
Well, I mean, yeah. You should read Rufus Opus, The Seven Spheres. It's about Pat walking that stuff now, so that you can go through it. It's pretty good.
What's his name? Rufus what?
Rufus Opus. It's obviously not his real name, but that's his magic name, or author's name, whatever. I did some of it. I did the
pathwork and something.
No, just The Seven Spheres. It's called. That's it.
Seven Spheres. All right.
Yeah, I did them out of order because why not?
SFERS, yeah?
What is that? Say that again.
Spheres. SFERS, yeah?
That's it, yeah, that's it. That's exactly how you spell it. I mean, yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great.
I did the Jupiter one, and as soon as I invoked, there was a loud crack of thunder at the exact moment. Ooh. That was perfect. And I was going, nice one. Yeah. Didn't get what I wanted, though. So, yeah. You're saying hello, and no, Tommie, hello, no.
You're not ready, Tommie. You're not ready. Come back in a week.
There's an interesting as well, talking about the after death stuff. I recently rewatched Lost. The whole thing in one go. It definitely works better at watching it in a row rather than over 5 or 6 years. So it makes an awful lot more sense. It's way better than I remember, and I really enjoyed it at the time. So, but there's the whole section at the end where there is that kind of Bardo equivalent section, you know, where the rather than jump forward or backwards, to jump sidewards, and to create a kind of a purgatory or a landing place for everyone to kind of. And because it says, well, there's no time here, obviously, so no matter when you die, it's now. So that's, you know, I thought there's some interesting things. But overall, from a Gnostic point of view, if you watch that TV show with a Gnostic eye or any sort of thing, it's like, the lads definitely wrote it, knew what they were on about. That whole thing, if they didn't know what they were doing, is clearly not the case. Like, they absolutely knew what they were doing fairly quickly. And it's really good. It's a really good tale and great characters, and you know, one of those things that when it's over, you kind of go, well, I was watching that. You know, I'm going to miss him. What's Jack doing now? Oh, well, he's dead. Yeah, but what is he doing now?
Apparently not Game of Thrones fans. They all hated the last season. Oh, you never really watched. You never watched it, did you?
No, I watched first season. I don't know. I'm not great with fantasy at times. When I do like it, I love it, and when I don't, I kind of I find it hard to get into it. You know, it just kind of feels a bit. I don't want to say these words because it's not silly. That's not what I mean. I find it. I was going to say it's too far fetched, but obviously, but I just find I can't go. I just can't get to it.
No, I get you.
Yeah. But I mean, I love horror, and I mean that's worse. So I mean, it's like no accounting for taste and all that.
No, I think I'm like literally the only person on the planet who thought the ending was totally adequate. It's exactly what was supposed to happen. You know,
I don't know. I just if you look at the Game of Thrones Reddit, they just every day have a new plot point that wasn't resolved or that was stupid or that was. I was going, okay, I'll never watch that, but I don't know. I mean, the whole thing about Lost. It's 60 years old at this point. I'm sure I can spoil it, but the whole thing they were saying. The ending that everyone says, oh, they were dead from the beginning. And you go, no, they're clearly not. That's not what the ending of Lost is at all. But like that's the kind of general consensus on it that, oh no, they all died in the plane crash. And it's like, no. No, everything that happened actually happened, you know. And it's just
so what happens at the end? Do people get off? I've never watched. No, I've only seen bits and pieces of it here and there. I have no idea.
Well, the way it's described, there's a full adventure that happens and a full reason why they're on the island, and then they mostly die in the island, apart from 3 people escape from the island. That's
all right.
So. But there's a bit, and then they all meet up together when they all die and go off into the next stage together with the idea of that this is the most significant thing that you've done in your life, and so. These are the most significant people. Yeah.
What's the thing I was reading on The Guardian yesterday? One about some new Netflix show that's doing really well. It's based in North Korea and it's all these kids games. It's a bit like Battle Royale.
Oh yeah.
But they play kids games against each other and like whoever loses dies. Jesus, what the hell was it called? Something on Netflix. I'm not going to find it now, am I?
I'd say people know. I do know what you're talking about. I have seen some screenshots and stuff of people putting it up. There's a couple of other good ones on Netflix at the minute. And I've got through another episode of that John of God thing on Netflix. He's getting worse. That man is a handful. He's not a nice man at all. Jesus, it's starting to get into the kind of money element of things now, and how he's kind of making everyone, even down to the taxi drivers and the B&Bs and the hostels, all had to pay him money, like a kind of a weekly or a monthly fee. Everything.
Like racketeer, and how is he getting away with this?
Because it was like he was the reason why the town was so touristy. All of the people coming were to see him. So he goes, right, well, I want 10 grand of you, taxi man, or whatever it is, the figures, whatever. But like he assaults, rapes. They don't go into too much detail, but definitely does something horrible to a girl with the mother who's dying of cancer and old mother dying of cancer and father sitting on the seats outside the door. He does stuff like that and doesn't seem to give a shit.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wanker.
Yeah,
because he's awake. He transcends good and bad. He is both.
I don't know.
That's what these cunts.
Is a psychopath. But the problem is
nasty people try and do.
He's like. He definitely cures people, or did, there seems to be some miraculous things. There does other people, of course, went, well, I went and, nothing or whatever, but same as anything. But so, I mean, it's that thing, I suppose, I was saying that even Charles Manson might be awakened, so what does that say about awakening? You know what I mean? That it's, maybe we have a kind of a wrong view of it being holy or something, that it's just, you realize what is going on or what this is. That's it. It doesn't imbue you with anything else. Like,
That's it. Yeah. That's it. But then there's the thing of you should still live in a moral way. But that's a choice, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but not if you're not a moral person. That book I read on enlightenment and what enlightenment does to your brain has some great kind of things where atheists who then become, theists who suddenly become atheists after enlightenment because they go, well, this proves there's no God. That there doesn't seem to be everyone can have the same experience and exactly the same, describe it exactly the same way, but the conclusion to come from it is very different, which is interesting, because you would think that the truth is the truth, and seeing the truth is, reveals the truth, I suppose.
Well, I suppose though, I don't know, like maybe the whole, let me see how to explain this, my idea on this. So, well, I suppose the reason people would give different impressions of it is because they go into it with different baggage, different traumas,
Yeah.
So then, and because it seems to be like the progressive way, or the way like the mystics and all Christian mystics talk about, is that they, and Buddhist ones too, is that you're trying to get rid of the ego before that happens, before the enlightenment happens. Whereas that if the direct path brings you to the enlightenment or the awakening first, then you still have all the baggage, and then you're going to put that baggage onto the awakening, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's how you're going to react it. So maybe that's why this whole idea of ego death is to have a more moral. No, and I mean, I would agree with that, but that's from my limited viewpoint of it. It seems, but because that's my path though too as well. It seems to be the right thing to do. But one Georgi in the Nondual therapy has an interesting thing. She says about personality and ego death and all that kind of stuff, saying that's to not forget that that's also divine too. That it's all part of it, and that it's not something to be shunned or seen as, again, to escape from. That my real personality is over here, and this I get rid of my ego and thing. It's like, no, all of that is, the whole thing is part of it, and it's like, I'm not saying not to work on it and not to get through it, whatever, but not to see it as so this is me talking more than her, I suppose. Not to see it as the bad guy, or whatever. But that's not the enemy. That's that thing's not the enemy. Like, it's still you, whatever you do. It's like your man Gabor says it in the documentary. He gets very woo towards the end. He's like, it's to make room for all of these feelings. And,
And it's I like
it, all that kind of stuff.
It does. Yeah,
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. But I can understand the whole notion of the direct path of going, let's do it all in one good go, big thing, bam, none of it matters, and you go, right, okay, I can see that could happen. I think it's dangerous in the sense of that's not going to happen for most people, and what the result is, what we're seeing as the result with direct path stuff, because you see the fallout from it. At least with the progressive thing, it might take a bit longer, but even if you don't awaken, you're still a better person. So, I mean, there's still value in it, it's still worth doing and still worth pursuing. And there's even the process is still massively more rewarding. Whereas in the direct thing, it's not until you get to the end, really, from my understanding of it, that any of it there's any kind of result. So you could be at it 20 years, direct path, and nothing. Whereas progressive path, at least you've done 20 years of, shadow work, personal development, all that kind of stuff. No,
Squid Game. Squid Game is the name of this Netflix thing.
Okay, right, cool. I must check it out. Have you watched it? Oh, you haven't.
No. I'm meaning to, though, because I love gory murder.
Yeah.
Maida. I love Maida.
Maida. When they got together, it was Maida.
Something I wrote down here, past life or something. I don't know why you said something. What did you make me? What did you remind me of there? I don't know.
No such thing as past lives. They're all congruent. They all happen at the same time. They all
happen at the same time. Yeah, I was thinking as well. The recent article that I did about the whole my understanding of ego death. I was thinking yesterday. It hit me. It's like, shit. Maybe that thing was a past life thing. And I was like, whoa, I didn't write that in it. Maybe that's a thing.
All right, weird. Well, I have an interesting one that's coming of me to do with inherited. Excuse me, while I. My ignorance. So I was kind of never really one for going, if my granddad was in a car accident, then this is why I have a sore leg. It's kind of going, really? Turns out it's true. And to have records of people whose parents were part of the Holocaust who have the effects in their genes, or the word for it's not quite the genes, but and that once they kind of get over the trauma or process the trauma, it then doesn't go into subsequent things. So there is a kind of a definite subsequent generations. There is a kind of a point of the thing. So I've an interesting one because I always kind of have and it happened today. So this is why it's in my head, is that and I woke up and it's dark and the temperature has dropped. It's literally from yesterday. It's gone from autumn to going. it's starting. Winter is coming right now, and so it was like, oh, there's no immediate kind of mood change and an atmosphere change within me, and I'm gonna go, what is that? And I kind of remember that reminds me, I suppose, of getting up in the morning, going to school, and all of that. But there's more to it that I can never really work out. And then my dad told me years and years ago that one of the hardest parts for him when he was growing up was that when he came home from school and his parents had just gone back to work, or, well, his dad always worked, but his mum had gone to work in the shoe factory, whatever it was. And when he came home to the house, that there was no lights on, and it was dark, it was cold, and it was really, that's, one of the key kind of moments of his life. And I was going, all right, okay. And then I was talking to my cousin who's just talking about his mum, saying that one of the key moments of her life is coming home with the lights off. And so it's told exactly the same story. And I was going, that's interesting. It's like literally the same story. And I assume, being the fact that they're both talking about loneliness and that kind of thing, they weren't coming home together because, in their stories, they're both arriving to an empty house, not with each other.
Right.
And I was kind of going, right, so is this part of the kind of thing that I recognize, that thing in the dark, the thing, is that part of that? Is that something that I've taken from them? And, and now it adds to my thing, and I kind of have tried to go, find the meaning for, it must be because I hated school, or, and then I've made my own story around this kind of feeling. And I was kind of, that's interesting, because say from a Magia binding point of view, well, who are you binding? My dad's story? You know what I mean? Or would you have to go back and go, well, if it's inherited in that way, why do we feel that a dark house is sad? Something must have happened previously to put that kind of thought, and you're going, well, where do you start with all of this? And but it's interesting. I was kind of going, that's, because I'd never worked that out had I not known the stories. If it's true, if this is true, if we have to take this seriously, which I will in this case, I'll follow it through to see. So I'm going to talk to my dad.
You don't have a choice. Your cousin tells you the same thing, and that the brother and sister had the same story, coming back to the same house and feeling lonely.
Yeah, and like exactly like almost the way he described it, is like the same words, and like it's like as if they were reading the same essay, at school or something.
That's bizarre.
It is bizarre.
Bizarre. So, well, I mean, obviously the two of them didn't. I don't want to say anything bad about anyone's family or all, but it doesn't sound like it was a lonely household. Because or something like that.
I suppose it was used to coming back home from school with the lights on and the dinner made and the mother there, to empty house, cold house, couple of hours on your own. That kind of switch over or whatever. I don't know what age they were, but I assume it's it can't be primary. Well, maybe it was. It's a different time. They can't be primary school. They can't be coming home at 10 or 11, but they could have. I don't know. I'll find out if it's. And delve a bit more into that story, because I'll see him. I'll see him tomorrow.
I think stuff like that carries on through generations, but I think it's us then to make sure it doesn't fucking carry on. Because your man Gabor Maté is all over that, but Carl Jung was as well.
He did. Because I remember saying to you at one point about it, and I've gone, I don't believe it. And he goes, well, Carl Jung believes it. And I went, I may have to change my mind. that changes the situation entirely. Yeah, but of course it does. I mean, like, why are we afraid of, like, the Jordan Peterson, like, and it's not his, but like how I know it. Why are we afraid of snakes? We're all inbuilt to be afraid of snakes. Particularly like in Ireland, why are people afraid of snakes when they've never met one, never seen one? There's literally none here other than the 6 in the zoo that you can't go into because of COVID. So, but it's an inbuilt kind of, a certain, or instinct. What the fuck is instinct? We kind of dismiss these things so easily. Like we go, well, why do birds know to do that? It's just instinct. It's kind of like what we do with placebo. We go, it's placebo. And you're going, well, you're really sitting there, it's magic. We are. It's just we have a word for it. It's some woo-woo madness thing that birds have, magnets or something. I have no idea. They can see infrared, who knows, magic.
Well, it must be, it must be, like in that dispenser of Joe's, his book.
Pez Dispenser Joe.
I cannot, I refuse to believe that's his real name, but Pez Dispenser of Joe's. And I knew this, but I don't like the book, but he's a good way of putting things where everything is put into a box and it's neat and handy, and you can go back to the book and pick it up again. What I really don't like about the book is that it kind of comes across as if he has invented Kundalini awakening. All right, okay.
Okay,
dude, chill out, man. All right, or he talks about the what's it called, animatic system, which is basically chakra system, and but it just has a scientific bit of proof behind it now, and it's like, dude, chill, man.
Chill,
I think the whole first second chapter, I think. The second chapter is basically it's a chapter about sigil magic, and it's like, dude, man.
Yeah.
At least reference what you're doing, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
But that's why he's, best-selling author, Joe the Pads dispenser, and not, other people. Because,
do you know what? I mean, look, there's a funny thing between. I had read the book first, and she was raving about it and saying, "Hey, yeah, read this. You like this. You'll get it." So I watched a couple of interviews with him, and I went, I don't like this guy, but I read it anyway. And whereas she didn't watch any interviews with him until after she read the book, and then after she read the book, she's like, "Yeah, I don't like this guy."
Was that the Aubrey Marcus stuff? Is it that you watched? Is it?
I watched that one. No, I don't know. I don't know what she was watching. It's just the constant salesmanship that he has. That is just, it just rose me up the wrong way. It's like
I was thinking about you last night. I started a book of what's called With the Open Path. And literally the introduction is, this is a book that was put together for our 9-week course that we offer. And I go, right, bye. You close, you can keep that.
Put it back on Amazon for half price. Good luck, get rid of it. Yeah, no, look, I mean, yeah, we were saying it last week, whatever. Yeah, people make your workshops complimentary to the fucking thing, not as the fucking...
Yeah, your course should be an exploration of your book, not your book an exploration of the course that you also have to buy.
Exactly.
That's But,
not that we've written books yet, but I reckon we will.
I've written a book. How dare you?
You've written a book, of course, yeah. Grimoire. And loads of great graphic novels, of course.
Yeah,
graphic novels. There was also graphic novels.
Graphic novels. Does that, does that...
Oh, what I was saying. What I was saying about him. So... It's that...
let me stab this man a bit more.
No, it's a good thing. He I've heard it before, but he just had a way of saying it. So, like, we have been led to believe that diseases, cancers, all these kind of horrible things that kill us, they are... largely down to heritage and bad genes, yada, yada, yada. I'll have heart disease because my dad had it, my mom had it, their grandparents, yada, yada. And he's like, no, it's environmental. But what it is that, like, it's, just millions upon millions of genes in us. And once certain combinations happen in your environment, then the thing happens. And Gabor Maté is saying this as well. He's that, look, people with heart disease is usually because, like, something's wrong in their soul. Their love. People get stomach problems because something's wrong with whatever that chakra is connected to or whatever, And there's so much woo with this now. It's fucking mad, and it's bending my mind that it seems to be far more real. It's like it's like the thing, there's mad stuff we can find genes for, like, okay, obvious stuff like our eye color, yeah. But then there's weird stuff about that thing about where people can.
Put the
edges of their tongue. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. So there's genes for that, right? But there's no gay gene. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's not mad.
But there was the big thing as well, so when the gene stuff came out there, everyone had wanted to, like, they're going to trademark genes, and this was going to be the revolution or whatever, and then it came out and went, genes don't really tell us anything. They don't say anything about who we are.
Because what they are is they're once a combination of so many things is put together, then the gene unlocks. Or sorry, it's not even the gene unlocks. The proteins that make it, they unlock. So like the latest idea on a gay gene is that it's actually 4 or 5 different ones, and when they lock together, then that person is more likely, not 100%, more likely to be. But then again, like, you still have to have all of the other possibilities of all the proteins before the gene.
But isn't it, like, in one sense, isn't it great that it isn't? Because imagine what the Christian fundamentalists would do if they knew there was a gay gene, and then they'd go, well, let's spend millions of pounds trying to reverse this or get, cure this.
They'd have less pastors, wouldn't they?
Yeah. In fairness, yeah. Yet another story. There was one recently, there were 2 or 3 of them a week in Reddit, in fairness, of, pastor, he was caught, like, literally.
He got the shit kicked out of him, this one. He has the mugshot and his nose is broken and
he got caught. I was going to say with his pants down, but it's like, that's not funny, but he was literally caught in mid-act or close to it. But the genes thing. There's some terrible, tragic stories of, people who shoot the people who've done terrible things to their kids and getting away with it. That famous one of the video of the guy who waits at the airport at the telephone, Have you seen that video? So he did something to his son, abused him in some way, or I don't think he killed him, but something. But the father knew that he was coming through the airport to be brought to the courthouse. So he waits like a 1970s Columbo villain by the telephone at the airport. Yeah, man passed 100, shoots him in the head. Bang. He gets like, suspended sentence. Like, who's going to... We can't in that, when something so terrible has happened to someone you love, they're like... But but then there's vigilante justice and all that, and I'm glad I don't have to make the decision. But there's a part of me, and you can tell by the response to videos like this, that there's a part of a lot of people who are kind of okay with it. If it's proved to be true that the guy did do it, and But I think that's the problem, though,
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how I feel about it. Because my mind would change on it every kind of day.
That's it. Because the initial kind of fuck yeah when you see the video, and then the next day you go, oh no, hold on, there's a lot more, it's a bit more complicated than all that. What if he didn't do it? And what if all that stuff? Because as we know, there's so many cases of that, to the point that when your wife dies or your kids die, that whoever is the other member of the family is prime suspect, because it happens so much that's what it is, and was it 75% or some other horrible statistic of rape is by people all of that stuff. Like, I don't know. Anyway, before we get into too bad territory.
Yeah, we will get into that in the documentary. But just the whole, then there's the whole kind of, to try and step away from it a bit and be like, but by doing more harm, like what fucking good are you doing, really? Because you're just, okay, that baddie, horrible person, like he's someone's brother, he's someone's mother, he might be someone's father, and then you're just adding more trauma to
that's it,
situation,
and it's like the whole, I suppose this is overlapping with the documentary, but it's like you're seeing the result of trauma, and you can not to feel sorry for these people at the same time, I suppose, in one way, but also in one way that it's like, why did they become the person who would do that? Like, what had to happen to them? But I mean, there is a case to be made, I suppose, that people are born psychos, and sometimes you meet a kid, we go, you're definitely a psycho and going to have, people in your basement when you're older. But but
it's probably because of a really bad babyhood. That's not even childhood, just a terrible, what's that called? Babyhood, infanthood.
Baby time.
Yeah, baby time.
Yeah,
no idea.
Infant. Definitely, it's infant. Period. There you go. That's
a funny word. Infant. Come here. Before we get on to it, though, how did your Days of the Saint end up? Everyone happy?
A very, very interesting thing happened for me. Anyway, so on the last day, on the feast day, which is the day after the 9 days, there was a really weird sync that happened to me with a friend of mine emailed me and said, there's a guy who was asking about you. And it was this guy from years and years and years and years ago. And I go, that's very strange that happened today. And, it's kind of, this seemed, I was going, walking out my head. This was like it's kind of the end of a cycle, and this was kind of just the whole blah, 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 blah. And then a couple of hours later, I was just texting a man back, and he said something, and I went, oh, you're talking about a different guy completely. And none of that thing that I had created in my head, none of it existed at all. But it's kind of, it was an interesting lesson out of it, is that that I didn't realise that I felt that there was something incomplete in that other relationship. So that was, at least the revelation of that. So, but it's a quick, you can kind of, and I was saying to my friend, I've just come out of an 11-day working, this is definitely, and I was going, then again, I went, that's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious that happened.
It's hilarious. Yeah. It is. It's like the Bernardo Kastrup's more than allegory book. Like, the whole argument is just like, we need myth because we tell ourselves so many lies, basically, in our lives, our myths, because it seems to be that, like, we're not really in control of our reactions in our lives, and like free will is obviously nonsense, but we just do these things anyway because the option is in front of us, and whatever different voice takes control of something, and you do it, but then your brain says, I did that because that. You did,
and that is provable with split brain people, that they will make an excuse for something they didn't even know they did. When a suggestion is given, I don't know which ones, but say that the suggestion is given to your left brain, which is rational, right? No, the opposite way. Give them to your right brain. Yeah. So and then you will get up and pick up a can of Coke, whatever, and then ask, why did you do that? And you're going, oh, because I wanted to. When literally what happened was a suggestion of given to pick up the can of Coke, and so they felt it was their decision to make. It's so weird. It's
mad. And as well, like Maté says this too, but it's a thing that we know about, is that we'll always go for the kind of more dramatic or more drastic one, because we want to either be the victim who is the hero in our head, or we want to be the hero who is getting out of being you get me?
Yeah, the underdog type thing.
And it's always this fucking hero victim thing. There's so much of it if you keep an eye on it. Like it's crazy. Yeah, absolutely crazy.
We should
how do you kill those fuckers? You know what I mean?
You're not ever.
Well, I suppose that's true. That's true.
We better get into this because we're slowly talking about it without the context of it, I suppose. So the documentary what we watched this week is, I don't know the full names, but have you written down? It's Trauma and
no.
Is it? What is it called then?
The wisdom of trauma.
Oh, right, that's it. So it's the trauma with words before, it's not words after. Yeah. And it follows Gabor Maté's kind of, I suppose, somewhat journey around how he deals with people with addiction, but he is kind of his main kind of, that's what his practice was, but that he then sees it as a wider condition of trauma, and that it's all on a scale of from severe addiction of drug addicts down to people, with watching too much porn, buying too much stuff on Amazon. It's all still trying to fill the same hole, or I suppose in some sense, get over it or to cure it in some way. It's an extremely sad documentary, and it's
just miserable. Well, yes and no.
Yeah, the qualification of it is that it's not. It's also very human. It's very it's uplifting in many ways, in that that there's a way around it, or there's lots of people getting hugs, and there's lots of people happy about it. That they're not happy, but that coming out the other end of it. So that there's a lot of It's not just a depressing hour and a half or whatever. It kind of is, but
yeah. At one stage, I wrote down talking head sob stories.
Yeah, talking head sob stories.
Because there are a lot of talking head sob stories, but at the same time, it's like, if you're willing to do introspection and want to be a better person because of that, like what we were saying earlier, rather than just doing the direct path of trying to be awake as quick as you can, but if you're more interested in taking the slow steps and getting there with a clean conscience is what I want to say, but that doesn't mean people who do it directly don't have a clean conscience.
Oh no! It does. No.
Anyway, no, you know what I mean. To do it more slowly, more progressively, and get there, and to try and be as moral as you can, doing a kind of thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Then this is fucking great documentary, because you learn so much about why you are the way you are.
Yeah.
You definitely will. Like, I mean, today I had one. It was yesterday, because I watched it in 2 bits, and it was yesterday. I'm mixing up the days. It was yesterday. And I was just walking down the street, and I went, "Oh shit, that's something." Oh fuck, haha! I don't need to do that anymore.
Oh, cool.
I don't know where that comes from.
Right.
And it was like, whoa! I wouldn't have got that from. Well, maybe you get there eventually, but just thinking about the way that he looks at people's traumas or biases or conditionings, programming, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, it's like what Russell Brand says, and he sees people like the codes of the Matrix, only it's trauma. And Russell's kind of, and then Gabriel goes, yes, that's exactly how it is.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. Yeah.
You'd love half an hour with him, wouldn't you?
Oh,
Man, fix me, come on, fix me.
Even when he's sitting down, like
$10,000.
Yeah, with Tim Ferriss, or whatever. I don't know much about Tim Ferriss, I know who he is, and I'm aware of him. But he's not that he puts him in his place, but he gets to him very quick, to the core of what's going on, really, really, really quickly. And and because he goes, give me an example of something that annoyed you recently, and he was like, well, I went away, and when I come back, the stuff that was not meant to be done in the house was not done. And immediately straight we get into, what it was. It's because, I feel like I'm being discounted or I'm not, respected or loved. And, why is that? Is this a new thing? And then, you can see by the end of it, he's just going, I just thought I was annoyed because this work didn't get done in the house, but it turns out there's all this fucking trauma.
Turns out I don't like myself. I don't respect myself. Yeah. Fucking mental. And he just pulls back the layers and just goes, that's the problem right there. There it is. That's the problem. Yeah. Now fix it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think that's where Jodorowsky will come in really brilliantly then.
Yeah.
They should double team.
No.
Gabor and
Tim Ferriss, dress yourself up in gold paint. Let me hold your testicles.
Awesome.
I'll tell you, if you've ever been a parent who let their kid cry themselves to sleep or anything, don't watch this documentary because he's going to give you a Shame on you. Yeah, he's going to give you a severe guilt. I've never done it because I'm not physically able to do that.
I didn't
type of stuff.
Well, I didn't know it was more of an American thing. We didn't do it with the second one. We did it once with the first one, and we could never do it again because it was just heartbreaking.
Yeah, but you've already damaged him now. You know that he's going to have to go to Gabor now in 40 years and go, my daddy didn't love me. Why? Well, there was one time he let me cry for 5 minutes.
Yeah, one time he let me cry. Yeah. One of the books, Aga was saying she bought one of the books. It's about, I think it's mostly aimed it's aimed at bringing up kids, but it seems to be mostly based on teenage kids. But I think my kind of understanding from one of the things I took away from the film was that, like, right, look after your kids, don't traumatize them because they're going to have life anyway. Yeah. So it's like, be sound for them, be cool for them, be sound for them, fucking love them as much as you possibly can, because out in the real world, then they'll get their trauma. And it seems to be that out in the real world, it might be a little bit easier to deal with.
But he definitely does feel that the onus is on parents and that an awful lot of trauma comes from that, from like just that whole thing, which I knew from Vanessa having done her child development degree she did, whatever, now, talking about it, that whole thing, if you don't hold a child, if you don't touch a child, but like care for every single other facet of its needs, like you clean it, don't know how you exactly don't touch a child but clean them, but I suppose it's a hug more than anything, and you feed them and all that thing, they will die without the touch. And like, that's heartbreaking. How did they fucking know that for a start? Did it just, I think they did it. I think they did it with monkeys. I think that's how they know. That's the first thing where the
right.
They had monkeys, then they took them straight away, and like the horrible things we do to animals, but sure, that's another conversation. But that's just heartbreaking, like the danger. But this is the thing we talked about with the Jodorowsky documentary as well, is that so much of what people need, apart from the being listened to and the working it all out and all that, it's just to be held and to be touched and to be, contact and all that. And you can see it even in this documentary that, at that point, that bloody heartbreaking poor man with the cancer, and then got the prostate cancer, and then it gets removed, and then he finds out it's in his bones and it's in his ribs, and he's, and it's like...
That's just medical fucking negligence, that is. What the fuck, like?
But he goes anyway, obviously, Gabor has a secret stash of mushrooms at home that he gives to his clients, but they don't show exactly what he gives them, but it is a psychedelic. It is, and he says he's a big fan of psychedelics in a clinical setting. Not you and your mate Steve watching Netflix on a Friday. But the guy comes in and he's lying down, and you can see, and they're talking through it, and it's just, I find it quite heartbreaking, because there's a point where just at the end where he's just talking through it, and he starts getting more angry, and his language changes, swearing, and it's all coming out, and then at the end you just there's a big hug, whatever, and then you can just see the man on the couch, and he's just holding Gabor's face, and he's like a child. I was like, oh man,
it's heartbreaking,
But like he did get a release out of it and stuff, and he understands it more. But like, we're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to lie on a couch and look at a guy and put your hand up and have that intimacy because that's gay or whatever it is that we, or same with the Jodorowsky stuff where they're just people holding each other, and you just kind of go, we were so, not even that we don't do it, but that we see it as a bad thing. No, and I know it's like we spent the last 2 years not being able to touch each other either, but that's different. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's different in a good way. I'm saying it, like, at least there's a reason for it. Whereas we have a social taboo around it, particularly males touching each other. Or
do you know what? We kind of make me and my mates here. We kind of make a big not a big deal about hugging each other, because Polish lads they handshake a lot. Like you can work with the same people for 20 years in the same mechanic shed, or in the same office, and every morning you go in, you shake your hands,
Right.
We always hug each other because it makes them look at us funny. And we're like, we're fine in our pink shirts or whatever, No, I wrote down as well. Tim McCarthy thing was hard to watch. He's he's driving on the car and he seems like this, typical placid, nice Canadian.
Yeah.
And then he's given the whatever ayahuasca or mushrooms, and then he just starts fucking sick of this shit, man. What the fuck is going on? And it's just like, Aga was there going, whoa, what happened to him? And it's like, he's Tim McCarthy. He's Irish, like, it comes out of him, yeah. But man, like, he just, I was watching, just going like this guy is. He's called himself like a people pleaser. He suppresses his anger. He had angry parents. I'm like, this is Ireland.
I absolutely was seeing myself in him. Like, I mean, there's no question.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, that's me.
Yeah.
And Jesus, it was hard. It was hard to watch the poor fella, because like it's just like, shit, I'm guilty of doing all those things.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I was brought up kind of like that too. A bit, not as bad, but like just going, whoa, like, okay, I'm never suppressing anger ever again.
Yeah.
Ever. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna fucking deal with it. Well, I mean, I do now, but that was my thing going through my therapy, was that, like, she was like, the thing used to come up with me all the time. She's like, you're scared of your anger. It's like, yeah, of course I am. I turn into the fucking Hulk. Do you want me to? Like, do you want me to get fucking angry here? Do you? And she's like, meh. I'm like, fuck you.
That was a big part of my therapy too, was that, especially with the first one, was her trying to get me angry, and I'm going, I can't, because I will wreck the fucking room. And so, not that I'm not doing, but it means you're afraid, but I was afraid of it.
Like, yeah. Me and you have the same thing then. Look, we have this awful thing that, like, there's no in between with anger. You have to go full fucking force.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, all right, well, why do I think that way? That's the wrong fucking way to be about it. Like, sometimes you're just angry because someone fucked you up, and that's allowed. Doesn't mean you're allowed to throw the piano out of the window all fucking Robert Plant style around. But you're allowed, like, be like, hey, you, stop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the assertive anger, which I don't have. I have the angry anger. The fuck you, I'm going to kill everything. But it's and that's it. Obviously, I'm scared of it. And that was the thing that I recognised in your Matt, and that even in my therapy, as deep as we got, whatever, there was always a point where I would go, I'm not going to display this anger because I'm afraid of what will happen. But it was even, I remember at one point going, right, I recognised that I didn't want to do it in front of, the therapists or whatever, or because also those people, you could hear other people in the building, and you kind of go, if I get loud here, this is strange, and all those excuses that you use, because none of that actually matters. So I said, right, I'll go out to the forest and I'll try and get as angry as possibly I can about whatever situation we're talking about. And even then I couldn't do it. So that was telling. Like, but I can do it if I'm poked. I can certainly, it'll come out. But it's like, with all, as you're saying, it's like, it comes out inappropriately, and it comes out, while you probably are making a point, you're making it way too big. It's. I think it's in this documentary where he talks about that when you're reacting to something, you're not reacting to the thing, you're reacting to the thing that happened to you. And it's like that's one of the things that I know. But I also, when that was said, is kind of going, yeah, now I know that now. That I really understand that it's kind of. Whereas it's kind of, when you hear it before, you go, yeah, that makes sense. I can understand. But it's like, no, I feel that in my fucking bones, that I understand that. I don't know. There's something about this documentary that, like, I definitely want to watch it again, even as horrifying as it was. And not to wrap up. Or anything.
I don't know if I want to watch it again, man. It's like,
Yeah, what I will
Going
do.
to Auschwitz a second time, like once is enough for me. Like,
I did start his book though, and I think you should read his book. It's interesting. I've very little.
no,
I've read the
I
first 2 chapters because it's written so well. It's written kind of, when you expect these type of books about addiction or whatever, they can be quite dry and boring. And Jim was a man who did this, and then when I met him, it's written kind of. It has that kind of present tense journalistic style of. Almost as if, the type of thing, if a journalist goes and hangs out with Bono for the weekend and it goes, I'm at the airport and the woman is looking at me, I know later I'll be talking, that kind of conversational first thing. But it also reads a bit like a Chuck Palahniuk book. It's really well written. Yeah. The way he describes the character, describes the world and whatever. It's I'm only 2 chapters in, but it feels like at some point this is going to turn into a murder mystery. You know what I mean? Or some or a strange, sci-fi thriller or something. Like it's like Neo will arrive in it or something. But really exceptionally well written. So I did look at his other stuff. He has a couple of courses that you can do, but they're about like $300 and stuff. And I'm just, I don't know. I'm kind of loath
look, that's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. It's not.
Price-wise, that's not.
And there is the introduction one, you can sign up for a month for $18. So I might actually do that, which is about just detailing one. And then the one that's £300 in fairness is for teaching you how to actually do the process. So that, it's a steal. But it's just kind of, at the minute, I'm kind of going, I probably have an entire channel of his somewhere that I could watch first before I start paying for things. You know what I mean? There's probably 100.
There's in fairness, there is a lot of him on YouTube. There's tons,
but none on his site. If you actually go to his site or his page, he has loads of playlists, but like 4 videos or something. So
okay, well he has there's loads of people have interviewed him. He's the man. He's great. He looks so fucking sad. You just want to give him a hug as well,
Yeah.
But then again, he'd see that as like, well, why do you want to give me a hug? I'm like, fuck you, just give me a hug. He looks sad.
Yeah. What's in it? What's in it?
You just want to hug people all the time, Spud, don't you? Yes, I do. I want to hug people all the time. What's the problem with that?
But there's a lovely.
Why?
I know why. Yeah, because I want to. That's who I am. Why are you like that? What is it that you're trying to express? Tell me about your father.
There's another really bad one with Alicia. She was, Jesus Christ, walking home with her mate.
Oh, yeah.
Kidnapped.
Yeah.
And her virginity was fucking sold. And then he's like, and tell me about your father's day. He beat me as well. And I was like, what the fuck? And then it turns out that, like, and he asked her some questions, and it's kind of like, so it kind of comes to this thing. It's like, well, you felt alone because you had no one to turn to. She said, yeah, I had no one to turn to. And what about mom? She says, yeah, mom was abused when she was a kid too. And he's like, okay. And then he kind of ties it together as that, like, this is a multi-generation thing, because your mom wanted to help you, but she couldn't help you because of the trauma that she was through. And then you were going through the exact same thing as what she went through. And he's kind of like, it can stop with you, I don't know how it can stop with her, because, like, what a fucking horrible life that poor woman has had. Yeah. And she looked high as well.
Yeah, she did.
During the interview. Yeah. A good few people look high, actually.
Well, I mean,
they're losing this thing.
Well, yeah, particularly the guy injecting heroin into his arm in front of us. He definitely looked high. But again, like, I mean, I'm making a joke. I don't want to really make a joke, but it's my natural inclination is to say funny if I. But like, that's that's a horrifying story of your man.
That's horrible. Yeah.
And the homeless guy, and then the other guy who's like, I assume he was homeless, but he's on the street and he's talking about, I had everything. I had a great life. True, yeah. I had all the money. I had, a thing, and it was just, I still ended up, here, and it's like, it's like. It's. He
says that he has a good way of talking, putting trauma into kind of simple words as well. He's like, look, trauma is the disidentification with the self. So, and he says that you stop trusting gut instincts because in the past it has led to something bad happening.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's mind blowing. That's like to put it. That's what it is. That's exactly what it fucking is. Like, instead of you thinking.
But that's my exact not to bring this dead horse back up. My whole thing about surrender was that why I can't do this, because when I did it, it led to the bad things, And it's kind of, I was going, oh, right, hold on. There's someone, there's someone who, you know, there it is, there's the thing. But yeah, it's like, that, like, I mean, but like, how can you trust something that I suppose in one sense has led to these things? But it's kind of with the knowing that you can change the, you know, you can trust it, but be aware of it, or what was, I can't really remember what the solution was to that, like, or how to get back.
He towards the end, he says that it kind of goes to a non-dual thing. It starts about, like, you know, every moment is being, every moment is different. So that's the, to get back to the good instinct thing, is that, like, well, okay, that thing happened, but that's not now, like.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the removing of the baggage, removing of the programming, the conditioning, all that kind of stuff, and trying to look at every moment as if it's
the new thing.
New or different. Yeah. You know, not connected, I suppose.
Yeah. Essentially, the thing you've been banging on for weeks now. It's like everything is the new thing. It's
weird, man. It's weird that you fucking you say this thing, and then, like, you watch a video, and then it comes out of someone who's like a billion times smarter than me, and you're like, fuck. Yeah. What? Am I onto something here? Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, you know, I don't know. But like, also, every fucking documentary we watch is telling us to take ayahuasca or DMT or both. Yeah. So that's going to have to fucking happen. Yeah.
I would love to do it in a clinical session rather than necessarily in a shamanic session. I like the kind of.
Well, I mean, I do it on someone's couch. I do it on someone's couch. It doesn't have to be in a clinic.
What I mean by that is that, like, the Gabor setting where it's in its front room or whatever. No, you need a spotter, a sitter, a spotter, whatever it's called, and someone who's responsible and not going to get fucking sloshed on flagons of cider or something. You know, here, you look after us this weekend, Damien, will you? I'll only have the 8 cans then.
Don't get drunk though, Damien, alright? Don't get drunk, because we'll be off our tits, man. No, fine, yeah. Then, like, you know, 2 hours into your session, you just hear,
And then you go,
what else is good? All addictions are based on trauma. That's good. That's good. Yeah. He said all addictions are based on trauma, so he goes into that. That's great. What did I write here? Disconnecting from good feelings, especially anger when we're kids, leads to depression and physical illness, when we should teach our kids how to deal with anger, and it doesn't have to be destructive. There was a thing about rewarding the baddies because we live in an aggressive world. He goes mad on capitalism there for a bit, and materialism. And he's fucking dead right. Like, we do reward cycles.
Yeah. You know? Not a fan. He was like, but I mean, we know this. We've talked about it. It's like, all the good capitalism has done, like, it's clearly sending us absolutely insane, you know, or the modern world. Let's not just blame capitalism, because it's like it's a bit more complicated than that. But the modern zeitgeist is clearly putting us over the edge, given the rise in not just mental health, addiction, suicides. You know, like.
You know, I hope that we're at the start of the wave. That is a more fucking compassionate world where we are sounder and nicer to each other, you know?
Well, it seems to be the only way change kind of happens to these things is something awful has to happen. Like, you know, when you hear the stories of, like, the reason why if your kid goes into hospital now that the parents are allowed to stay with him is because one kid died, and a nurse or a nun at the time made a big case about it. But up to that, it was seen as that, no, you should separate the kids from the parents. And there was one, there was a girl, and she was in for like months, and she just felt the parents didn't love her, and all this. It was just like the whole heartbreaking story, but whatever. Jeez. That was the thing that changed, just where we went, hold on, this is ridiculous what we're doing here. You know, we're just doing it because, you know, we initially thought we were doing right, but it's clearly we're not doing right. You know, and there's all that kind of where you see stories of, like, oh, something as bad, like someone fell into a gorilla thing at the zoo or whatever, and now we have higher walls at the, you know, there seems to be like we're not going to learn by going, geez, someone should build that wall a bit higher. You know, someone might fall in there. That's not how we learn. It's only when the person is falling. And I think we're kind of getting to the bit where, you know, we're about to have that.
Surely we've had it, man. I mean, we've just come through like the worst century of wars that's ever happened on the planet. You know, like, can we not? Have we not
hope so.
Learned?
Yeah.
You know?
But have we? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I kind of think we do, but I think it's just a slow process to get where we're able to go, kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful, but like then at the same time, like, you know, if I try and put, you know, someone, you know, Poundland Peterson in his place on Twitter, I get annihilated. So I don't think the world is that compassionate.
Well, even in that though, Spud, you had a couple of really nice interactions with people by the end of it. So I mean, there was where you seen.
But then again, you know what? I wasn't being compassionate by going after Peugeot either. You know what I mean? I was trying to make it.
Sure, yeah. So
well, that's on me too. Like, I know that. That
in
is
fairness,
on me.
In fairness, you did start it, but did you? Because he said something.
Yeah.
That, you know, shitty. Like he did. It's pretty shitty.
Anyway.
I could see him and John Vervaeke had a bit of a go at each other over a couple of days later, but they kind of became friends again very quick when it blew up.
It's always a popcorn moment when someone who isn't a Christian quotes scripture at a fundamentalist. It's always going to be fun. It's just always because like just go.
I've done by like about the fourth angry reply from Peugeot. I was going, is he speaking in tongues at this point? What is actually each saying? It was like getting really, really, really kind of a way. The wind as it blows through the window of the corn, and that is how we know. I go, what is this man talking about? And then John Vervaeke goes, interesting point, Jonathan.
He's the case. I have a class to teach. I'm out here. Good luck. I have enough of this shit. Like,
I hope everyone enjoyed this conversation as much as me. Bye.
There's great bits in this as well about asthma and the use of steroids for like
everything.
Lung problems, stomach problems, what are muscle problems, I think, as well. And he's like, I didn't know that. I'd never put two and two together here. What is a steroid? Is a fake or synthesized cortisol. Cortisol. I never knew that. And
well, I mean, there's two types of steroids, of course. There's the anabolic and the cortisoidal ones. The anabolic ones is the Arnie Schwarzenegger ones, you know, for build up, and the other one is the cortisoidal one. So it's just not all of them.
So and I never realised that it's a stress hormone to help you deal with stress. So it's like, asthma's got fuck all to do with your breathing. It's all stress, and like I wrote this in the thing a while ago. I was like, I've just from me realising. Like, I'm using fuck all of the inhaler anymore. Just for me saying, I don't need this anymore. It's gone. Fuck off.
Well, this is a good thing, because here's a thing that could be put to that, and then is saying that asthma is all in your head, right? And that if you think it away and all that stuff. Well, that's somewhat true. I don't think it's ever helpful in any situation to deal with asthma in that kind of a way. Or what's your thoughts around it being that you're both sides of it?
I think, well, maybe it's, for me, it is. No, I'll tell you why. Because I was worried there for a while. Like, why is my asthma getting worse? Do you know? I was saying to you, and then I was put through the whole fucking thing in the hospital with them finding a thing in my lung, and then over Christmas
meeting God in the
in the waiting room having this mad transmission thing with this dude with a gold Bible. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then thinking, like,
Jodorowsky go, you must paint your Bible gold.
Then, like, over Christmas, not knowing the results, having to wait to see if I fucking had it or didn't have it, and still, like, well, thankfully not. And then the asthma, then finally be given a stronger inhaler because they didn't know what it was, and then just going, this isn't making me any better at all. And you know what? It was someone said to me in passing. I was talking to her about her daughter and her asthma, and she says, sure, look, it's all in her head anyway. And I went, wait. Is asthma made up? Is asthma not real? And so I just went balls deep into this, just going, shit, I don't have this. This is nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I live in a hilly place close to the bottom of the mountains. If I'm walking up a mountain and I get wheezy, I'll take it. But other than that, I don't need it. What am I doing? Like, taking this fucking inhaler all the time. But look, it's only me. I'm not going to tell anyone. Yeah,
well, then you see, I've been more around people who think asthma is a scam, if you want, whatever. It's right, but then, because I remember a friend of mine years and years and years ago, when I was like teenager or whatever, had a hangover, and wasn't doing well, and the mother brought her to the hospital and was diagnosed as having asthma, when in fact she had a hangover and didn't want to tell, but then had asthma. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like she was going out with a friend of mine time, and he's like, "Oh, you're ridiculous! Like, you do not have asthma." But she did have asthma. Like, I'd love to know now what she thinks about it. Like 20 years later, does she still, does she still feel that? Like my sister had it as well. She was quite bad.
I can't say I don't have it. All right, because I'll still wheeze. But I know as well as that, like, no, actually, this is just now I know it's just a kind of reaction of something stressful. But what is it? Okay.
But it's like, again, it's come back to what's real on it. But it's real because your body has this reaction, and the reaction is stress, and that you have a proclivity towards this kind of thing. So to say it's not real is wrong. But it's also, you can say, I can talk myself out of this. Like, and I'm sure there's like the people who have relatives who died of asthma are going to go, he couldn't talk himself out of it. He had a bad one, So it's hard to, because people do die from it, So I mean,
of course, yeah.
And you don't want to say,
I've had asthma attacks. I've had plenty of asthma attacks.
I go up to in the middle of go, but this isn't real. What? Yeah, it's not going to help.
Well, no, but it's that. Okay, so it seems to be that asthma is not the wrong diagnosis. What you have is a failure to deal with fucking stress, all right?
Yeah, okay.
And your body manifests this as you not being able to breathe. It's having like a little tiny panic attack. And an asthma attack is basically that, isn't it? You're having a panic attack in your lungs.
That's a good example, because a panic attack, like, clearly is a panic attack, but it's also not real. You know what I mean? In the sense of it's an overreaction to something that you've thought about or whatever. Yeah. It's interesting. But it's like that's... He's obviously a bit. I would assume he doesn't think asthma is real in the sense of that it's an actual, in the same way that a broken arm is real or whatever. Like, but he definitely thinks addiction is real, which equally is something, or depression is real, which is similar. It's only a.
Well, he says in the thing that asthma is a manifestation of social ills. That's what he says. So, but because we're stressed, or we imagine that we're stressed, then it has to manifest somewhere in our body, because we're not dealing with it with our mouths or with our heads or by doing rituals to help with stress. So therefore it has to go somewhere. Okay, Spud doesn't have great lungs. Let's hit that.
Yeah. But my hesitancy with all that kind of stuff is because of the Louise L. Hay stuff, You Can Heal Your Life, which I'm not sure. I've talked about it before, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with, which was kind of had a list of all the ailments that you could have in your body and what they really meant on a kind of a spiritual level or whatever. So it's like, if you had a sore knee, it was because you didn't feel supported. If you had stiffness,
it writes itself. It's easy.
But literally, it's like if you sore hand, it means you're not handy. Whatever, I don't know what. But it was all of this. But that if you have a sore heart and then you're sad, and you can go, well, that's kind of okay. But I mean, it's heart disease because you're sad. Gabor would probably say so. But it's like kind of going. So it's like that kind of thing of when my eye stuff started happening. It was like, well, what do you not want to look at? What do you not want to see? No, I'm 40.
Or maybe, Tommie, you weren't being seen.
Whatever. Yeah, and right, okay. Yeah. But I'm also in my 40s, and that's when your eyesight goes. And people go, or is it? What is it?
Yeah. No, look, I
do think there's something in there. There's clearly something in, but I think you can just kind of go with, you have a sore toe, which means that, you're stubborn. Oh, what? Really? Do non-stubborn people not hit their toe?
I agree with you. I wouldn't go full hog onto that spirituality way of seeing soreness. But...
Because that gets into victim blaming very quickly. You've cancer because you won't let go, or you've cancer because thing. And he does. He would say that he does talk about cancer as again, same like asthma, doesn't he? He says something about it that it's.
Yeah. No, but I think to go back to what Joe Dispenza was saying about it, that I think they're saying pretty much similar things in a different way. It's that once 4 or 5 or 10 things line up.
Yes,
it's a combination lock. Once those things lock up, then it'll manifest as asthma or cancer or whatever it is. And
I suppose Gabor is saying that it's traumatic over generations, so you can't point to something and say that's your fault. But no, because you inherited an awful lot of this from your genes, your family, society, all of that kind of things. And we're all in this together. Like
the way you live, the environment, and what you eat, and all that kind of stuff. So there's 50 factors, and if you check off all of them, then it's likely that you're going to have trouble, kind of thing. That's the way I'd see it, more than just like, oh, I have bad thoughts and now my penis is going to fall off.
Yeah, I'm blind because I tried to deal with these thoughts. Yeah.
The animation in it is quite good. Obviously, it must have been done by the wife, was it?
I would say, I assume so. I didn't check, whatever. Colour corrections class.
Yeah.
And,
they're very open about their relationship, aren't they, isn't it?
Yeah, that was really nice. I enjoyed that kind
refreshing,
of. I enjoyed it. It was kind of, because it was just a window into him rather than anything. I really enjoyed that. And it was the right amount of interspersing and the right amount of time. It didn't kind of labour it, but enough.
Because I like the way that she says, yeah, look, I mean, everyone sees the best of him when he's doing the lecture tours, and he's insightful and witty and smart. But when he comes home, I get the tired guy who's all negative.
Yeah. I get the prick. Yeah. But she's 50 years or something together or something. She says, I don't even know. Could that be right? It can't be. He's not that old, is he? Is he probably? Oh no,
sure. He was born at the end of World War One. Sure, that's
World War Two.
World War Two.
Yeah, 1944. You're right. He was like so.
He is old. That's why he looks bad, like.
Yeah. But he has. I'd say he's like if you were in the room with him, I'd say there's an energy to him. There's some. I'd say there's. If he walked in the room, people would know. Some people have that kind of a. It's not quite charisma because that's not because you can fake that, and that can go wrong. But there's just some people have just kind of have this aura, and he seems to have that kind of, I don't know, air to him or something. Although he equally could walk into a room and no one would never know who's there because he's a proper shaman, and he's just drinking whiskey in the corner, going ha ha ha.
No, he's great. No, I over the last couple of years I've watched a fair amount of his stuff. I didn't know that there was a doc until you told me, but I think he's great.
It's literally out a few weeks or something. That's what I don't. It's not that long.
The only thing I didn't like was the Christina Aguilera video at the end.
I didn't even register with me.
Beautiful.
No
matter what they say, love can bring you down.
There was a meeting by the producers going, you know what, we need something at the end of this to
we need something
bring
really
it all together
and sad. Yeah.
Let's give Christina Aguilera 50 grand to use her song or whatever it is.
Well, they don't use her song though.
No,
because I wrote down first. It's like a Papa Roach video, but then it's not. Cut my life into pieces. This is my life. It's not that. It's more like Alanis Morissette, sad shots of people crying. It's like you didn't need this. This is sad enough. This is fucking sad enough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
you've made your point.
Jesus Christ. There's so many moments to it where like you'll be close to it. You'll be close to tears. Yeah, you fucking will.
Yeah. There'll be someone going around cutting onions in your sitting room for some reason. Yeah.
But you know what? That's the only thing I didn't like. I loved it. I don't know if I'll watch it again because it's so sad.
Well,
I probably will because there's so much to learn from it.
There is some. Well, why I want to watch again is because that's just more to learn. But I could probably do that by watching other stuff of his rather than going through the thing. I did watch the Russell Brand interview with him, the full one. It's on a thing. That's good. It's I like Russell when he's.
Sometimes he needs to shut up though.
Yeah,
he just talks too long in sentences. Make your sentences shorter. That's what people like. You know.
But I don't think, not to talk about Russ Brown, but I don't think he's doing it to try to be or sound clever. I think he's just trying to articulate and get stuff out. But it can be annoying though, and some of his he's a bit sensationalist as well these days on his YouTube. But anyway, that's Russell Brand. That's completely different.
Something else. Yeah, go watch this. Wisdom of trauma. There's so much to learn, and like if you come away from it, I think within a day or two you'll have some kind of idea or insight as the parlance is.
Yeah,
and just say,
I definitely agree with that. And while I didn't have an actual like distinct kind of thing, I had an overall kind of, there was a sense of I see clearer now, but not about a particular thing that you had, but just I can approach things. I have an insight around my approach, and my worldview is slightly changed around it, which, great. Thanks for that. I'll take that. Yeah. No. And read his book. It's called Hungry Ghosts or something it's called.
But he must have a few, does he?
He has but not as many as you think. He's one, and then he's one about kids that I definitely think I should read.
That's the one I could.
How to hold your kids or keep hold of your kids or something like that. And he's a new one coming out soon as well, which seems to be more general rather than because a lot of stuff is around addiction. And that was the thing. Well, going into it, was going, I don't really know if how relevant it will be to me. It might be an interesting book around addiction, but I don't feel addicted. And then you kind of get into no, everyone's fucking addicted, man. It's just whatever level you're on.
It's something. We all have something. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lovely bit in come back to the Russell Brand thing, is he actually, when they're talking, he read Russell Brand's book about addiction before he came to the interview, which I thought was really, that's because he doesn't have to. I'm sure he does a million fucking interviews, that like you couldn't read everyone's book that you're talking about it, so they could talk on a level about things, which is quite interesting, because they both are familiar with where the other people are coming from. The Tim Ferriss one seems interesting as well, but as you say, there's a million interviews with him in YouTube.
It's a class. Just what the fuck is in the water in Canada? There's so many smart people, except Poundland Peterson.
I'll tell you what, he'll probably come out with a documentary, and I'd say it'll be really interesting, the whole iconography and all that kind of. If you went on that angle, I'd watch that. Probably
would be if you did that as a symbologist. But well, I'd watch that. That would actually be interesting, because he does know his stuff. I was watching some Joe Campbell there the other day. I love Joe. Joe's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know enough of him. I mean, I've no fair bit, but it's like you could spend the rest of your life, excuse me, going through his stuff. Really, to be fair.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's still the way he connects stuff up is just like wow, well done. Yeah, I should have seen that. How did I not see that? Of course I didn't see. I'm an idiot. Have you seen this dumpster fire that is the Celtics film? I put it into the...
Yeah. I'm kind of following some of it. It's like, it really took off though. Like it's really, like you see it all over the place now. But explain it for people who don't know.
So this fella put up a crowdfunding thing. He wanted to make a film based on, I suppose, Celtic mythology, I suppose. Yeah. But the idea was that I think the pitch for the film was that the Romans were attempting to conquer Celtic lands, and they were going to rise up and fight them or something like that. But so he put up, I think he wanted 100 grand or something, got 15 or something.
Yeah, like 12 grand.
He didn't take it. He didn't take it very well. But
even the name of it's wrong. The Celtic.
Celtics.
The Celtics.
What are you doing? Like,
yeah,
there's no S at the end of it, and I mean, I have two feelings on it. In that, like, well, first of all, people have done his homework on him, and it turns out he's a right winger, white supremacist,
etc.
He's a bad apple. You know what I mean? He's genuinely a bad apple.
His father let him cry at night without hugging him.
You can watch the trailers.
Just one time. That's just one time.
Fucking guilting me into it. I don't know. I'll hug him all the more when I see him later. The trailer is muck. You can see them looking at their scripts, and it's just people wearing these blankets with Scottish flags on their faces, and they're trying to do Irish accents. It's awful. Yeah. And but look, at the same time, I mean, I don't know, I see a lot of like the old kind of Irish comedians and all I used to follow from the podcast from years ago, where like they're just literally destroying this fella and laughing at him and picking on him, and like, look, while he's he's not a good person, I don't really see that as being the right approach either, because you're just entrenching people in their beliefs then.
Sure. Yeah, that's it.
But also as well saying, okay, that is a bit funny. Like, it's what's the right approach with people like that? Do you just say, yeah, this is more like, I don't know if giving the press is a good thing or a bad thing, because you're just entrenching people, but then like just highlighting it as, oh my god, like this, look at this god awful steaming pile of dog poo that is a flame in a dumpster. I don't know. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, to be honest.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, because arguments could be made for both sides, and good arguments. But
but it's like, I don't know if I kind of like, I don't know if making fun of people is the best approach anymore. You know?
Yeah. But sometimes people are so ridiculous that like what then we don't laugh at ourselves. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we're so ridiculous we need to laugh at ourselves.
Oh yeah. There's that too. So of course, you have to laugh at yourself. But I don't know. It's just like it's this weird thing of that, like especially with the kind of lefty wokey people on Twitter, where it's like they're very very happy to dish it out, but you try and give any of it back to them. And Jesus, I'm as lefty as can be, like, you know. But it seems, I don't know. It's just pitchfork crowd on Twitter, and before, it's like, whoa.
Before anyone should be allowed to use Twitter, to have to read John Ronson's book, So You've Been Publicly Shamed. I think that should be part of the terms and conditions. And, but though, you know, I mean, it's easy to point at Twitter and say that because it's, you know, that's the kind of I suppose in the cliche kind of way that Twitter is the pitchforks and all that. But I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, Facebook does it the same.
I know. It's just everywhere.
Reddit is every bit as bad. There's a really interesting thing that I noticed in Reddit, and I love Reddit. I said, well, I spend a lot of time in Reddit. Do I love it? I don't know. That painting of Lou that went up in Dundalk. In the town over It's amazing. It's the highest or the biggest painting in Ireland or graffiti thing, the whole thing. And then on Facebook, in fairness, it's put up and everyone's going, brilliant. Oh, you know, everyone, load comments, all of them are good. Some are people kind of, you know, just go, oh, you know, it'll be spray painted over or something, you know, but nothing. And then Reddit, exact same photo stops and everything, it's just full of, this is shit, what's wrong, you know, it's going to be, you know, it's, I can't even remember because I was looking for it, but all negative. Oh, look, the state of that dog. Oh, yeah, look, yeah, he looks like, looks like people. And it was just, the whole thing was so negative. That's insane that it's like such a different view of things. But it's just that it's like, as much as Reddit get given out for, you know, the pitchfork thing, Reddit is so antsy and thinks it's better than everyone. And it's, you know, it has everything, fuck everyone. And it's like, it can be a bit tough, and it's that, or it's conspiracies, or depression. That's Reddit, really, and then cat videos. So, yeah. But my point of that is, it's like you could make a case out of, oh well, Facebook is much better than Reddit, and you go, no, it really isn't, because you could pull out another thing where it's exact opposite or you know, there's like Facebook seems to have been the main thing that has spread the you know, the anti-vax conspiracies. You know, it has allowed you know, paramilitary organizations to organize things. You know, all of these things that came out, all this mad stuff or whatever. I think that was WhatsApp rather than Facebook, but it's still the same company, isn't it? All that kind of thing.
Yeah, same company,
recently came out a couple of days ago that if you have a business account with Facebook, then people who have just started working after 60 minutes have access to your private messages. So there you go, in a business account.
Right.
So
that's
fun. I mean, so you could say, oh, well, it's a business account and it's on their platform, and you shouldn't write anything on Facebook that you don't want the world to know. But at the same time, they're not even pretending anymore that a private, which is why having to change it from private message now to direct message, because the private would insinuate that it's private. Okay. Yeah,
fair enough. Jesus, how are we going to fix this fucking place, man?
Well, the way to fix it is to remember that all of this is God too, and that it's not just us and getting God wrong. This is God doing all this. This is divine. Facebook is divine. Yeah. Twitter is divine. It's all power to divine. I'm not quite going to go to predetermination. I think we could fuck this up, but it'll be God fucking it up, so it's on him.
Oh, it makes me feel a lot better then. I can go enjoy my day. See you, Tommie.
Bye.